As we get set to celebrate Independence Day, the Rangers are celebrating too on the road. What will they do on this road trip? The answers, at least we'll try to give them next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Wow, yeah. Is there more than meets the eye from a 3-3 homestand? We think that there really is. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Me, John Radigan. We've got Jeff Wilson here today and John Anderson over there as Kat continues her off week. We have had a smorgasbord of great producers from the other shows. John's barely got his head above water after all the Cowboy stuff he did today, but by God, he's here and ready to go. And yeah, we said it at the start of the post-game podcast last night, Jeff. Basically, it was a 3-3 homestand that's 3 sack flies away from being 6-0. Yeah. Now, granted, it's not that far away from being 1-5 either. But the reality is, I think the Rangers and it's not just us. I mean, Boch think they've maybe turned a bit of a corner finally offensively.
Yeah, and you kind of look at the run totals from the homestand, pretty good. Not just the last 2 games. They scored 6 Monday when they got beat.
Yeah.
So a different looking offense. Team that's hitting home runs again, stealing bases, getting hits, getting guys on base. And when you get guys on base, you got to drive them in. And so that's kind of where the Rangers had fallen short, especially in those extra inning games that we've talked about. But I think that they're right. And you can go back to the Baltimore series. They scored 6 and 8 runs or 6 and 7 runs in the last 2 games there after they got shut out by that left-hander Roger. So it's been a good stretch. It's been a week worth of games. They've gone 5-3 in those games. So yeah, it looks like the offense is turning it around. And we feel like we've been here before, John, but
that's
I don't
right.
know that over 8 games we've felt this way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're looking at now like a 23-game stretch during which the Rangers are 14-9. That's better, and they've won 6 out of their last 8 series. That also is better, right? And, of course, we've mentioned this before. They've won 4 straight road series after having just really a horrible start to the road portion of the schedule this season. They're still not back to 500 out there. But they're inching closer to that mark, and if they win all 3 of the series on the road this week, or within the next week or 10 days, well, by God, they will be a lot closer to 500 on the road. So there's a lot at stake for this team. It was a homestand that was better, I think, overall, and they walk away from this homestand feeling better about themselves and better about a team, themselves as a team, than they did coming in to the homestand, despite a mediocre record during this homestand. Later, we're going to do the cleanup work on Josh Jung and Kevin Pillar. I see Mista, has a comment in there about Pillar already, so we'll get to that stuff. We've got updates on a lot of injured guys, as well as a little talk about conversations we're able to have in the clubhouse. We'll share some of that with you and get to our cleanup segment. It's all coming up on our show here today. But yesterday, that game started, Jeff, with a ceremonial first pitch by Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
Were you able to see it? Were you?
I did. Yeah, I did see it. He's, he didn't go to high school here, right? He was supposed to go to Bowie, but he was really, really good, so he went elsewhere. Played at Oklahoma State. I don't know. You kind of maybe forget about him, but gosh, he had a great season.
Yeah,
and he was former 1-1. So
yeah, he's an Arlington kid.
Yeah.
To your point, he didn't go to school here, but and he seems like a really poised kid. And truthfully, as bad as we've seen some of these NBA guys perform on a mound, tossing out a ceremonial first pitch, Jeff, I thought he accounted pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he bounced it, but and he felt bad for bouncing it, so that's good to see. But yeah, so it started off well, kind of some star power. And, they brought in, they're trying to bring in the local guys. They brought in the Myles Garrett, who did go to Arlington Martin, different sports, but recognizable names, guys who are superstars, really.
Yeah, they are. They are indeed. So, and that's a continuing theme, as Jeff said, throughout the course of this season. Now, one of the things that has come out since, and one of the reasons this homestand finished so strong would be the names DeGrom and Eovaldi, right? So pitching, has been the steady thing all season long for this team. Offense has been the problem. If it weren't for DeGrom and Eovaldi, who knows how this homestand would have ended up? If it weren't for DeGrom and Eovaldi, who knows where this season would be? But the Rangers have both those guys. Nathan last night pitched in his second game back from the injured list. And today we see that the power rankings for pitchers has come out, Jeff.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, so I thought you might have, because it just came. And so I've got this pulled up. And there's 2 Rangers in the top 10, but that's a trick question. 2 Rangers. So number 1, after his 13 strikeout performance on Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Tarek Skubal.
Okay.
Who, by the way, was previously number 1.
Hard to argue.
Yeah. Number 2 moved up a little bit. Zach Wheeler of the Phillies, just up from 3. But that means, Hunter Brown moved up a little too, from 4 to 3. He's 3rd. He has the ridiculous ERA so far this season, and 174. And, the last 10 games have been silly. Paul Skeens is 4. Max Fried is 5. I know you're still waiting to hear Jacob deGrom's. As I scanned through this, I was wondering too. Framber Valdez is 6. He was 6th last week. Another Astro. Garrett Crochet up from 8 to 7. Logan Webb's at 8. I'm like, come on. And I didn't know. I teased you guys and told you there were Rangers in here. Jacob deGrom up to number 9 from 10. And I may want to quibble, right? Like,
quibble away.
I guess all those guys are worthy. But, man, what we've seen from Jacob deGrom in 14 starts in a row now, less than 2 runs. He's got a 2.13 ERA. 14 straight with no more than 2 runs allowed. It's the longest streak of his career. And by the way, I think it's only 3 away from a Felix Hernandez streak that's the longest ever in Major League Baseball of 17.
I don't know where they come up with these lists. I really don't, and I don't know if those guys have more strikeouts than deGrom, or if they have more innings pitched, which is both are feasible. But use some common sense.
I know. And look at him. And
right.
I know they can't watch everybody all the time, but you got to look at these starts.
It's not like he's a rookie.
No,
he's the best pitcher alive.
No, and he's pitching like those days when he was,
let's say, the best active pitcher, not best pitcher alive. I don't want to offend any BC with Sandy Koufax. I don't want to offend.
Yeah,
all right.
He's still alive. Yeah.
But
yeah. So and the other Ranger, by the way, this is the part that's a trick. Ranger Suarez of the Phillies.
I see what you did.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought that Jacob deGrom, after the couple of last 2 or 3 performances, where one of them, he took a perfect game into the 7th and a no-hitter into the 8th, and then the next one wasn't quite that dominant, but it was dominant. And anyway, he only moved up from 10th to 9th, and so there you go. I'm quibbling.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that list.
No, that doesn't seem like a very valid list, does it?
No, it's crap.
So.
It's crap. It's crap.
Is it crap?
Straight
Just
crap.
straight crap. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to know it. You've helped me settle that. And now, we have to decide sort of what to believe about this Rangers team, right? Believe our eyes, believe the recent past, believe the more distant past, which would be 2023, right? So what do we believe about this team? You said it right at the beginning. I mean, we have seen this offense do this kind of thing, maybe not quite in this sustained way, but we've seen them do it once or twice so far this year.
Yeah, and they're again, and we've said it so many times. They have the talent.
Yeah.
This isn't a lack of talent thing. These guys are all very good. They're doing it, though, right now without Jake Berger, who returned last night, and without Evan Carter, who's been gone for a few games, and without Wyatt Langford, who is possibly coming back tomorrow. So there's potential there to get better, theoretically. They've made a move with Josh Jung, that had to be made because he ain't helping. So there are just things that seem to indicate the right direction, but more than anything, I think it's that Simeon and Seager are now both hitting at the same time. Your 2 and 3 hitters in this instance are producing, and Adolis Garcia is doing stuff behind him. Those 3 guys, we don't really have to go back very far to remember how important they were to the success of the lineup in 2023 when Adolis had a career year. Really, Simeon maybe a career year. It was. I'd have to go back and weigh the other time he finished third in the MVP voting, and then Seager, career year.
Yeah.
All right. They don't have to have career years, but they can't be crappy.
Right.
They have to, be average or maybe a little bit above their average to be the catalyst for this lineup, and they have been.
Yeah.
Seager's got 4 home runs in the last week.
Yeah.
Simeon,
4 in 6 games.
Simeon had the
yeah.
marvelous June and has picked right back up. And as we've talked about, DeGrom has gotten his, or not DeGrom, Garcia, since his break has been really good.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit better than his career averages. So that's what has to happen. These 3 guys are so vitally important, and they can bring the rest of them up. And when they get back to full strength, the theory is, it's going to be there, but they have to do it because at this point in the season, there's much more evidence to suggest that it won't be sustained than to suggest that it will be.
A year ago, they had 37 wins at this point. This year, they have 41. So theoretically, they're 4 games better than they were a year ago. And we do remember that a year ago, Chris Jung saw enough, right, evidence of positivity and hope and all that they became moderate buyers, not like big time buyers, but buyers. They were shopping the bargain rack, okay, but they were buying at the trade deadline. And so I think with a team that is 4 games better to start with, and a team that, as you mentioned, Jeff, has its horses running right now, I think we're starting to see which way that's going to go too.
Yeah. Can you name maybe you can name a better 1-2 punch, but it's really hard. And to have those guys back to back, you're not going to have a long losing streak. You're not, if you need a win, you're probably going to get it. I mean, how badly did the Rangers need a win Tuesday?
Right.
Just kind of like a morale thing, and to kind of save the homestand or get them turned around. And they sent out their best guy, the 10th best in baseball, apparently, or whatever the crap that was. and then they bring back Evaldi, and there was some question. I'll admit yesterday, after his first start off the injured list, what was he going to be like? How good was he going to be? How far was he going to go? Well, 5 scoreless, and feels like he can go without a leash the rest of the way. So you have those guys back to back, and holy cow, you're not, you may lose 3 in a row, but you're not going to lose 5 in a row.
No, No, it sure doesn't seem like it, and that's a good thing. We've got more coming up as we dive into this Josh Jung thing that Jeff has already mentioned, and we talk a little bit more about Kevin Pillar's comments from yesterday. We'll go into all that as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Well, let me tell you, John, I haven't looked at all of our
I got game time.
Oh,
I got
boy.
Sweet Nicole reminding me about everything that is coming via game time, and I'm telling you, it is a fantastic time to be alive in Texas and to have game time. As I quickly search through for Sweet Nicole's most recent email, I can tell you that game time is fantastic. It's the Outlaw Music Festival.
That's right.
That's the headliner. That's Saturday at Dos Equis Pavilion.
It's a big one. It's got Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson.
Yeah, that's the big boy. That's the big boy. So, and then you know what? They've got some nice, sports other than just the Rangers. Mercury at Wings Thursday today, July 3rd at 7:00 over there at UTA, and you got Minnesota United at FC Dallas, and that is a way to celebrate the 4th of July right up there at Toyota Stadium. You can get tickets to any or all of those type activities at GameTime.com.
And with all that money you're going to save, Monarch Money, my God, they're going to help you manage it. And it's so important to have somebody who can look over your finances if you feel like you're out of control or need to get control. And Monarch's going to help you. They're going to take out the confusion, the mess, the worries, and help you track your spending, your savings, your investments, all of the things that you need to have to live the life you want to live and not live paycheck to paycheck and worry every time you go out to dinner or your car needs a new tire or something like that. Monarch's going to tell you exactly what you need, when you need it, and how to prepare for a long future. So get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code DLLS at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code DLLS.
So, news yesterday as we entered the clubhouse at 3:00, the witching hour. Rich Rice came out of the door and said, "You got to move. Jake Berger's been activated. Josh Jung option. That's it." Like he was, and Rich and nobody likes. I've been watching that Red Sox documentary on Netflix, and any time a player gets sent down, man, everybody's heart bleeds. I mean,
Sure.
and nobody. I mean, Josh Jung. Nobody wants to have to make a decision like that. You talk to CY about it later in the day. He agonized over it, right? So that's one of the reasons that Richie was very short with it. Like, I don't want to talk about this, But the reality is, Jeff, this is something that, as you mentioned in the last segment, it needed to happen. And, it's like, for lack of a better word, Jeff, it's tough love, right? We love the kid, but we have to make the difficult decision, show a little tough love here, send him down and help himself get better.
It's not working here. It wasn't working. And, fortunately, I guess he has options. And the Rangers saw what he did in 23, and they need that guy. If they're going to win, if they're going to get back into the playoffs, if they're going to win in the playoffs, they got to have Josh Jung hitting the ball. He didn't do that in June. 158.
Yeah, awful.
And the weekend was just a nightmare for him. And then it carried over into the field. And I think that's kind of all right. If the pros, Marcus Semien, the whole time he was struggling, he was the best second baseman in the league. He was able to separate the two. He had confidence that the things he'd done in the past were gonna shine through ultimately, and they have. Josh doesn't have a ton of experience. Everybody can talk about, well, he's been in the major since 2002. That's true. But, in 2003, when he was voted in as the All-Star and hit 20-something home runs and the Rangers won the World Series, he didn't have 500 at-bats. Last year playing hurt, and then this year he finally is over 1,000 career at-bats. That's not a ton.
No.
There's not a Rolodex there for a guy to figure out how to get out of a slump. And I think a lot of Josh's problems and I think to a degree, Bruce Bochy and Chris Young agree, is that he cares too much. He carries a lot of burden when he doesn't help the team and feels bad for not helping the team. And you can look at his swing decisions over the weekend. He took 27 swings over the weekend, and 13 of them were off the plate. All right, that's almost a 50% chase rate. And I was thinking last night on the way home, because I'd said to Chris Young, I was like, aside from the injuries, he's never really failed on the field. And so driving home, I was thinking about it. Like his first taste of pro ball, he only hit one home run at low A or whatever it was, and then things were pretty good between the injuries. And then in 22, when he came back from the shoulder deal, he went to AAA and was just mashing.
He was.
And it was like, oh, well, this guy's going to be up at any time. And then he went into a skid, and they did ultimately call him up, but they didn't want to base their decision on just a handful of at-bats. They wanted to see it sustained, and it wasn't. Then he finally came around, and anyway, when Josh came up, he admitted, I was chasing too much. I was pressing. I was trying to get to the major leagues. So there's a history here. He needs to recognize that pressing is not the answer for him, and he's already an aggressive hitter. And to be uber aggressive and to expand the strike zone and to get yourself out and to not help the team, not draw the walks that he ordinarily would, it just doesn't work. And, they tried the mental break thing. I've said on this show that I don't think he was sold on it. I think he needed it, didn't want it, that type of thing. Well, now he has no choice. All right. He is not sitting on the major league bench. He is going to be in Round Rock or wherever they are. I think they're in Sugar Land right now. Not sure when he's going to report. He has 72 hours to do so. I'm going to guess he'll be there today, but you don't know. But the point is, they are sending him down to get better. And like Jake Berger told you yesterday afternoon, you can look at it as a slap in the face and sulk, or you can take it as an opportunity. And that's what it is. It's an opportunity to get better, to get straightened out, and to get back to where you can help the team.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he needs to do. And maybe this might be even a segment for a separate show. But I wonder if it does when you just run through his progression as a professional baseball player. I wonder if it's just another example of impatience by front offices, right? It used to be 1,500 at bats at the minor league level.
Sure.
How many did he have?
It was just over 500, maybe less than 500.
Which again, that's by industry standards, at least old industry standards, that's not enough. Wyatt Langford obviously didn't have enough at the minor league level. Now that said, both have had great success at the major league level, and sometimes even in the 1,500 minor league at bats era, there were guys who defied that.
Yeah,
Pete Incaviglia,
sure,
didn't have one. So right, and had a really good career. So there are guys who don't necessarily need that, but you do wonder if maybe a little more time in the oven would help these guys.
Yeah, and where the Rangers were in 21 and 20 and 21 and 22, it kind of set the wheels in motion for a homegrown guy to come up, first round pick to come up and play third base, and it happened to be Jung. And he hit so well in the minor leagues. It's not like he was a dog in the minor leagues at all.
No.
I don't know that the minor leagues were creating much of a challenge for him, but the challenge at that point then becomes sustaining and learning more, learning the strike zone, and learning, being more disciplined and staying on your routine, and just keeping it up and keeping the pressure on the major league club and the front office to finally call you up. And you see things. It's not just offense. There's defense stuff too that happens.
Sure.
And we've seen Josh hesitate a few times this year in the field, and maybe that would be worked out in the minor leagues. That's why they sent Kumar Rocker down after he made that silly play in the Tampa series where he A, didn't get over to cover the base, and then B, brain farted and
Yeah.
let the other run score. It's because he hadn't had a lot of game experience. They wanted him to go down and experience baseball. Well, then Tyler Malley gets hurt, and they don't have the
Kumar,
chance.
you still there? Yeah.
So, there is something to it. Now, I think Wyatt's done a wonderful job, especially on the defensive side, learning defense, because that was always the question, right? That whole winter and spring before the 24 season, is he a liability defensively? How much is he going to play defense? He started out as the DH, but now they throw him in center field, and he's really good.
Yeah.
He's really a solid defender. But I think 15 years ago, 10 years ago, he's still in the minor leagues, or maybe now he's just getting promoted.
I agree. Yeah.
So it is different, and it can be to the detriment of the player. There are lots of guys who have been called up way too soon. Chichi Gonzalez comes to mind.
Yes.
Came up and was really, really good
Yeah.
his first 2 starts, and then that was it. It just fell off so dramatically there. And yeah, they had gone to college. To Blake's point here about college guys coming in more prepared now because college pitching is so much better. I don't disagree, but it's still not major league pitching.
It's not, and you're using aluminum bats.
Look at Rocker and Leiter. They were elite college pitchers, and they've struggled. Skeens is an exception. Chase Burns is probably an exception, though he's only had a handful of starts, 2, I think. So we'll see how that lasts. But Chase Dollander, college pitcher, and he's pitching for the Rockies, but it hasn't been great. So I just think that there's nothing like professional baseball. The story, and I've told it before, is Jack Leiter comes up to Double-A and he's pitching, and they end up facing the Corpus team, the Astros affiliate, and the Astros number 8 hitter, or the Hooks number 8 hitter went to Ole Miss and was the number 3 hitter when Jack faced him in college.
Right. So
all of a sudden your lineup is that much deeper, where a number 3 hitter at a really good baseball school, Ole Miss, is batting 8th at Double-A. That kind of illustrates it. Woke Jack up to how much harder professional baseball is. So I just think, though, that there'd be nothing wrong with slowing these guys down.
Not a bit.
Not one bit, and that does make us sound like old guys and get
off
off
my
lawn.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah,
it's pretty good proven track record of guys
success
who've succeeded after extended stays in the minors.
Yep.
It looks like Josh. The hope is he's on down there for the minimum, like Jake Berger was. But I don't know. They might get him back for maybe the last 2 games at Houston if it's the minimum. Let him stay down there.
Yeah.
Don't bring him back to the beginning of the second half.
Sure. Yeah.
Have him get some extra at bats down there. I mean, AAA takes a break too, but have him stay down there. Enjoy the days off. They're off on Mondays.
Yep.
So I guess
get his
only get
confidence
one
back.
Monday back maybe, but get the confidence back. Work with Cody Atkinson, the guy who helped him out throughout the entire minor leagues. Get back to what works. Get everything back in sequence. All the things that he's talked about that are wrong here in the last couple of weeks, get him back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then quickly on the Kevin Pillar front, basically pretty much of a non-story. It was big yesterday. It's amazing what social media can do because it was out there.
Yeah.
But the reality is, honestly, I don't think it made much of a ripple in the clubhouse.
No, I don't think so at all. And I don't even know how many guys had seen it when we were in the clubhouse. And Bruce Bochy and Chris Jung said some people had sent it to him, but they hadn't gone looking for it. Basically, the guy wasn't around very long. He signed very late in spring training, or not very late, but late to spring training. And he kind of was like, well, maybe I was an outsider. I wanted to get close to the inner circle, and they didn't stretch. It's like, I was like, what did you do in spring training? You stretch and hit together every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Kevin's a nice guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. So I'm not here to rip him, but a guy who was here, with the Major League Club 5 or 6 weeks instead of the past 4 seasons, I don't think that that his opinion is very insightful.
Nope. All right, there you go. That cleans that one up. We've cleaned up Josh Jung. We need more minor league time for all these guys, and well, I don't know, may or may not. I don't think they're going to listen to us on that one, but we got more to talk about. We got some injury updates to bring you, some stories from the clubhouse to bring you, and our cleanup segment. It's all next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And time to talk about my favorite guys, Shady Rays. You really need new sunglasses. Maybe not today. Kind of cloudy out there today. But, it's summer. You're going to need them for, I'm going to say, 79 of the next 80 days. Or, for sure 79 of the next 90. It's going to be sunny. And you're going to need to have some great polarized shades to help keep that sun, that glare, off of you and out of your eyes, and when you're driving and when you're walking around and when you're in the pool and when you're hanging out. Shady Rays are the best. Almost indestructible. They replace them if they get broken or lost. Lost, I said. Yeah, lost. Even that's, something you've done. They replace them. Tons of colors, sizes, styles. They fit the budget. You get 35% off Shady Rays sunglasses. They're polarized if you use the code DLLS at shadyrays.com.
Like you mentioned, I took the garbage out this morning, and it was lovely.
Yeah, it really was.
It was very nice. But you know what? It's still summertime, and I bet if I had stayed out there 5 more minutes, I would have badly needed some Mando.
Yeah.
Because it's hot, and it's humid here, as we know in Texas. And Mando will help keep your parts, all of them, pits, belly button, balls, butt crack, taint, feet, all smelling like $100. So go ahead and get some, because you don't want to be caught in a bad situation where maybe you've been at your son's game and all of a sudden you got to go to dinner and impress somebody, and you stink like you just played 4 quarters of a football game. This is what you do. The Mando starter pack, it's perfect for customers. Deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and as a special offer, you get 20% off site-wide with our official exclusive code DLLS at shopmando.com.
Yeah, beautiful. So yesterday there were updates aplenty in the clubhouse. It's interesting because we on the media notification that we get about when the clubhouse opens, so often lately there has been this bold highlighted in yellow portion that says there will be live batting practice on the field at 3:00. Please do not congregate in the dugout at that time. And I don't even think it's so much a secretive thing. It's just that those guys need the dugout at that point, because when we're up in the press box at that time, we can see everything that's going on. The video cameras that are out there getting ready for the game that night shoot things like John Gray throwing yesterday.
Yeah, and I also think they don't want anybody getting hit by foul balls.
That's a good
there's
point.
no screens or anything.
Yeah.
And we don't have the best reflexes.
No.
At least not anymore.
No.
So John threw, and it went well. His next time might be on to start a rehab assignment, and it'll be a pretty slow progression. Probably start him at 2 innings, and then just move it up steadily every 5th or 6th day. But that's a good sign, because the Rangers are short on starting depth. If things turn around, and if they feel good about Jake Latzer and Dane Dunning being the depth, then maybe John Gray becomes that badass reliever that everybody thinks he can be. But the idea is to get him going there and to be a starter. Josh Spores also threw, and he said it went better. He said the breaking stuff is really good. The off-speed stuff's good. He's still looking for more velocity, and he will not be heading out on a rehab assignment right away. And he was pretty candid yesterday. He's been told that by Keith Meister that he will not be at full strength at all this year after the shoulder surgery. He's at, I think he topped out at 92 yesterday, which is an improvement. It's a 2 mile per hour improvement in 1 week. Adrenaline will be worth a couple miles per hour.
Sure.
So he wants to get to where he can be at 94, 95. That's where he pitched last season. if he commands it and has the good breaking stuff, he's going to be an effective reliever. But I think it's going to be early August. He's going to have to go out. He's going to have to log multiple outings a week to keep building that arm strength, keep breaking through. But he felt pretty good about it. But he knows it's a long process, and he thinks next season is when he's going to be back to what he was when he was getting that last out of the World Series. So, but good news still, progress. A guy who has gotten obviously big outs, the biggest out in team history.
Yeah,
and the Rangers would welcome him back, even at the 95 mile per hour mark. So, a few more weeks on them. Jock Peterson. 3 more weeks. He's doing stuff. I saw him with a bat in his hand the other day. He was excited about that. Like we updated on Tyler Mahle, 2 more weeks at no throw. So we'll see what happens coming out of the All-Star break with him. Hopefully they can get him back for money time there in late August and early September. So that I think that's everybody. Wyatt's going to rehab tonight in Frisco. Yep. He thinks it might just be 1 game, and he could join the team Friday. See how everything goes tonight. But it's things are trending the right way with most of the injured guys. Mally's a little bit delayed though.
Yeah. But when you think about the opportunity that John Gray may have here in a minute to get out there and actually pitch, granted at the minor league level until he gets rebuilt back up. But I can't imagine. It's got to be so exciting, right? Because we've just watched the agony daily of, here we go. Okay, I got to keep working, but I can't do anything yet. And then I thought we saw it in Josh Sborz yesterday, who's always a affable, friendly guy.
Very much so,
But yesterday I felt like he was just a little more happy, right? Like, because he's getting closer. He can see, earlier you'd ask him, I don't know, 2 months ago, you'd ask him, hey, how's it going? I'm an 8th grader.
Yeah.
I throw 78 miles an hour. And again, I mean, he was still funny and fun about it. But the point is, you could tell by his sarcasm and by his joking that, he was pretty disappointed, still pretty down.
Yeah. Frustrated perhaps by how long it's taking.
Sure.
And we never really got a full idea of how bad it was for him last year. I know that the Rangers had asked him to, as long as he could, please put off having surgery because they needed the experience and the things that he brought, and he had the surgery, and he said, this is a few months ago, that it was like what Kumar Rocker had done after the 2022 draft, and he was talking about how long it took to get back based on what he had been told by Kumar. Well, of course, Scott Boras said, oh, that's just a little thing. Well, it sounded like a pretty major thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's going to it's going to take a while. And I think there was a fear that there might be the need for thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, which Josh does not want to get because that's a velocity robber. And so, hey, just he is upbeat about the future, and I think yesterday made him feel really good about things.
Yeah. 100%. And he should. And like we say, I mean, he's always a fun guy to talk to, but he just seems like he's in really good spirits. And I know John Gray will be, especially when he gets to get out there and throw it for real. So there are some new faces around there. And yesterday, one of them I had a chance to talk to was Billy McKinney. He of Plano West High School. And, a guy who grew up in this area. So I said to him, who do you remember watching over in the old, Globe Life Park, the old ballpark? And he said, I'm old enough to remember Juan Gonzalez and that group. He said, but my wheelhouse was the Elvis Andrus, Michael Young, Ian Kinsley, and I said, okay,
Sure.
So how old were you when 10 and 11 were happening? He was in 9th grade in 2010. And which is, I mean, that's your peak, right? Baseball loving. You hadn't really discovered girls much yet. You're just like baseball. And and he's a baseball player. And but he said that's the first thing I said to Boch when I saw him was, hey, I was here the night in 2010, Game 5, that you guys beat us. And I said, yeah, you guys kind of had different approaches to how you felt about that game, didn't you? For Boch and the Giants, it was the first time they'd won since they were in, New York. And here you were watching your team lose the World Series. He goes, yeah, we kind of headed to the car pretty quick after that game. He then talked about having played in the old ballpark, and he was there in 19 with the Blue Jays, I think. And he said he was so amped up and so excited to play in the ballpark that he grew up going to and watching his favorites in. He said he couldn't even perform as he normally does. So at one point, he said it was a fielder's choice type play, and he was on first, he's running towards second base. Elvis gloves the ball, and he goes, I wasn't even in my right mind. I was so amped up to be there, and I just started running backwards, trying to get away from Elvis. And he goes, as I did, I fell backwards, and he goes, there's a great picture of Elvis reaching down to tag me on the ground, and I've got this huge smile on my face, maybe laughing at my own hijinks, but maybe just that excited to see kind of a hero, Elvis Andrus. And anyway, his parents have that picture at home. He says he's going to get a copy of it and get Elvis to sign it. But, I thought it was really cool because it just sort of, once again, points out the humanity of these guys, right? He grew up like so many of you have, and so many of us did. I'm like, I idolize these guys. I go to their games. I have their baseball cards. All that. And then the next thing you know, you're on the same field with them. So anyway, I had an enjoyable chat with Billy McKinney, who, by the way, has played a couple of games in a row to boot.
He has, and he's acquitted himself well.
Yes, scored a run yesterday. Yeah.
I had talked to him after the game Tuesday, and some people might remember that the Rangers had either signed him or claimed him in the early in the offseason of 2021.
Okay.
And it was before they signed Seager, Simeon Gray, and Cole Calhoun all on that same day, right before the lockout. And apparently Chris Jung was very transparent with him and kind of laid out, kind of the possibilities of what could happen with Billy that off season. And sure enough, those signings, they had to make some room on the 40 man, and Billy didn't make it. And then it was a tough off season because nobody could do anything, and he ended up signing with somebody, and he's been in and out of the major leagues. He's never really
hasn't really stuck.
No, considering he was a first rounder. But so anyway, to play for the Rangers was a huge deal for him. He'd played it, like you said, at the old ballpark, and probably maybe this one, but to be in a Rangers uniform was really exciting, and he had a lot of friends and family at that game to see that moment.
Yeah, I think he said he had 40 or 50. He wasn't exactly sure. Friends and family at the game. I guess it would have been on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And because that was, and I said to him, I go, man, this all happened pretty fast, didn't it? He goes, it really did. He goes, it basically came out of the blue for me because, again, you think they're not down there hearing the same sort of things that we are, and the rumors and the this and the that. Oh, the Rangers are going to need somebody. Oh, they're going to need somebody. So anyway, he needless to say, that's just a dream come true to play in your home ballpark, in your hometown, and so we feel good for Billy McKinney.
And it could be short-lived. I mean,
absolutely,
the Rangers have to make a spot for Evan Carter, and Evan Carter is a left-handed hitting outfielder, and Billy McKinney is a left-handed hitting outfielder, so he might be back in Round Rock here before too long, but still, just to experience that, I think it's always going to be a great thrill for him when he looks back on his career.
Yeah, I'm watching that season, the Red Sox thing from 2024 on Netflix, and when one of their guys, Boozer, got called up and pitched last year, after the game, Cora brings them all together and says, There's only 290 people that get to do this right now in the world. 290. You're one of them, and they can't take that away from you.
Yeah.
Really cool speech. So true. And that's true of Billy McKinney, no matter what happens the rest of the way. So I know what's going to happen the rest of the way on this program. We're going to get to our cleanup segment, talk about another local who has made quite a mark on the game of baseball. It's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, don't forget we still got our $36 deal on the Die Hard membership. I think maybe it's going away tomorrow, and you see there at the line through the normal fee, $79.99. There's no sense not doing this today. Just get it done. Make your move. Become a Die Hard member and get access to all the things that we put behind the paywall. There are so many of them, and they're all worth it. They're all worthy. The Dallas Stars have a new head coach. The Dallas Mavericks have a new superstar. The Cowboys are getting ready to go to training camp. And the Rangers are finally living up to expectations. Get the latest stuff from Jeff behind the paywall on the Rangers site as he has kind of done the deep dive, the full dive into the Josh Jung story. That's one of the more recent things Jeff has written about back down there. So anyway, $36, $3 a month. You get a free T-shirt. You get 20% off any of the other events that we might do as a whole group as DLLS. So it's a no-brainer. Become a diehard today.
Yeah, and you get sweet shirts. You get 20% off of the stuff and trips and all that stuff. But to get your free shirt with your diehard membership, you would go to store.allcitynetwork.com, where you find such lovely items as the wing shirt that John is wearing, the Texas Chew Ranger shirt that I have on. So many shirts. And the thing that I like about it, besides the quality of the item, is that it's just a unique way to show your fandom. You know, they don't sell this at Global Life Field. They don't. They don't. And none of them. Yeah, none of those shirts are available anywhere except at store.allcitynetwork.com. And plus, you know, you get to show what a cool guy you are by being a DLS diehard, or gal. Could be a cool gal too. But anyway, store.allcitynetwork.com.
We appreciate you doing that. All-star starters have been announced. I thought on the American League squad, I'm sure most have seen it. This came out yesterday. I was a little surprised by shortstop, the starting shortstop, Jacob Wilson.
Gosh,
he's playing well.
Playing very,
but again,
very well.
It's fan vote.
Yeah.
Oakland hates the A's, right? I don't think Vegas has yet embraced the A's. Did West Sacramento really get him enough votes?
Hey, you know, it's the capital. Who knows? Maybe there was a motion in the state legislature. Not sure, but yeah, that's pretty neat.
It is.
You know, he's
but again, there's a Bobby Witt Jr. out there too.
Yeah, there's a guy named Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah,
but he'll be on the team.
He will.
Bobby will be.
He will.
Riley Green in left field, maybe a little surprising.
A little bit.
But you know, I tell you what's surprising.
Oh,
is
Javi Baez.
But the season he's had.
Unbelievable. I mean, his season is all-star worthy, but nobody in Detroit ever thought he was going to ever make anything of himself again after they signed him to that big contract, and he's had an unbelievable year.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, three Tigers in the starting lineup, 3 Dodgers in the starting lineup on the other side of things.
Ohtani.
Yeah, as DH. Yep.
Freeman.
Yep.
Betts. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's the fair-haired boy, you know. And then of course he hits the walk-off last night. We'll get to that in a minute, but it's also the power of LA.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. I don't even know who plays in the National League sometimes, it seems like.
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm so focused on the Rangers and then the West and then the American League. It's like, oh, I forgot that guy. Pitchers and reserves will be announced Sunday. I'm thinking it's only going to be Jacob deGrom.
I do too.
This year for the Rangers.
If Malley or Eovaldi had stayed healthy, obviously they both have something to say about it. And Eovaldi's ERA is still great. He missed too much time.
You would think so, yeah. But you know, reputation's a hell of a thing, and you know the player vote is generally is a reputation thing. I don't know how often they dive into those stats and are looking at that stuff, the players. I do think though that also the replacements are via the player vote and who's next up. So maybe that does get Evaldi in the picture. Maybe that does get Simeon and Seager in a certain in a capacity. There a certain way to do it. So we'll find out Sunday, and then have to pay attention through the rest of the next week. But Josh Smith probably deserves it.
Yeah.
I thought he got snubbed last year. I would like to see that happen. I'd like to see a utility category, kind of like the NFL created that special teams category back when they had the Pro Bowl. I'd like to see that for MLB.
Yeah, because again, he's played all over the field, so it's hard to pigeonhole him into any one position.
Yeah,
but he's been great everywhere he played, and he 3 more hits last night. I mean, he's just amazing. So anyway, there's a little All-Star talk for you. Last night it was your local favorite made very, very good as Clayton Kershaw got his 3,000th strikeout, and of course we joked, he's only 2,000 and change away from Nolan now. So, he's just got to go another 14 or 15 years and he'll catch Nolan.
Yeah, I think this is the end of the road for Clayton.
Yeah.
And what an accomplishment though.
Yeah, it really is.
The family was there to celebrate, and I don't think he's ever far away from his family.
No, and let's take a look at one of these videos from yesterday, John, as we see Clayton Kershaw celebrating this with and for his family. Wife, kids, mom, everybody's just obviously so overjoyed, so amazed, so proud, understandably. And I thought, he loves LA, man. He's fits there.
Yeah, he was never going to leave. And I know that was a big storyline a couple years ago. Like, hey, Chris Jung knows him. He's a free agent. He was never going to leave LA.
No.
He believes in, he doesn't want to be Emmitt Smith and finish his career with the Cardinals,
right?
Or Tony Dorsett.
You forget about,
right?
And just crazy.
He wants one team on the back of his card, and I think that's pretty cool.
I love that. Look at the other one, though. The other video we've got is more about family for Clayton Kershaw. There they are.
Hey, boy. Look at all your snacks. Was there a lot of people here?
Yeah, there's so many people waiting.
Yeah?
That's great. The Kershaw boys coming in there to hang out with Dad. And again, there come the girls. And again, just to further emphasize, yes, he's another worldly pitcher. Yes, he makes zillions of dollars, but he's a dad, right?
Yeah.
With 4 kids, a wife, and that's awesome. That's human. That's what families do when Daddy has great success at work.
Yeah, that's cool. And they don't let the lady folk in the clubhouse.
Not very often.
So they hopefully all the fellows were in the shower.
Yeah, they kind of waited on that one or something. Yeah. So on the same game, horrible looking injury from Max Muncy. Did you see
I didn't see it, but I know that
it's not one you like to look at.
They're calling up Estuary Ruiz from AAA Oklahoma City.
Now I did see I saw a soundbite from. We can't show the video of the accident or the injury, but he got slid into and his knee went the wrong way at third base, and as another body part impacted it, it bent how it's not supposed to bend. So look that up. But I saw Dave Roberts somewhere saying, looks like maybe it's only a sprain, which will be truly amazing. Anybody who saw it last night, everybody who saw it last night was like, oh, that's an ACL. That, and he's having a good year. Another local guy.
Keller, Texas.
Yeah, you hate to see that happen to him. You hate to see this happen to anybody in baseball. Luis Ortiz, Jeff, of the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, being investigated on gambling charges.
Yeah, come on, man.
No.
I know it's prevalent, and I know that it's a conversation we've had about the way that baseball is in bed with
Sure.
DraftKings and the MGM in Las Vegas and stuff like that. And then, of course, with Pete Rose's death here recently, kind of conjuring up those things, and then his reinstatement from the lifetime ban list. Just be smart. You're throwing away a fortune, and they're gonna catch you. It's gonna happen. So don't even think about it.
No, and like like everybody says, right? They don't build those casinos to lose money. They build those casinos because they always win. Obviously, they don't always win, but they win so much more often than you do. So betting does not pay. You know what does pay, Jeff, really well?
Major League Baseball.
Yeah, baseball pays really well, and betting does not pay really well. So, that's a very unfortunate situation, and I hate to see it, and I hate to. I know it's like you say. I know it's out there, and there are certain really baseball and golf, baseball players and golfers. Maybe it's because they have a lot of downtime. They seem to be the ones that are most prone to really want to get into the betting world.
Well, there's some, there were some football players suspended recently, and the referee scandal in the NBA.
That
20
too.
years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You have the money. The money isn't an issue ultimately, unless you're as bad as Otani's interpreter. But then gambling addiction's a serious problem.
Right, that's the thing.
But I mean, why would you even risk that?
Mm-mm.
Why would you even think about it? Or if your trainer was like, "Hey, you should take this supplement," I'd be like,
"Nope,
no, I'm
thanks,
not
but
going to
no
do that."
thanks. Yeah. I'll ask my trainer, and we'll see what we got. Rafael Devers has struggled mightily since being traded to San Francisco. And that's interesting. I mean, he came out of the gates all fired up and all happy. He's going to make his money. So,
right.
But God, he just seems like he's a miserable human being all of a sudden.
Well, John over there is waving his Red Sox hat, dumping some dead weight. He was definitely
John's saying the Red Sox won the trade.
He was definitely doing much better than the opening series here with the Red Sox, where he couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat. And maybe, it's the head case situation, a new setting and all that stuff. And it ain't easy to hit in San Francisco. It's not easy to hit in the NL West.
No.
So there are a lot of factors there, but I would suspect that this is a temporary setback that he'll be hitting.
That you think because he
is really good.
He's a hitter. Yeah. And again, he's not a fielder. We know that. We also know, we got to do a whole segment on this. I had a long conversation with Chris Martin yesterday about that show, The Season, but just a year ago, a little more than a year ago right now, he was like it's seemingly best buddies with Alex Cora.
Yeah.
And it's just like all of a sudden, and again, I get it. They get somebody who's a better player. And then, man, that was a divide as wide as the Grand Canyon between the two of them. And Devers just kind of forced his way out.
Well, I hope you're happy, John.
Yeah. How do you like that? So have you watched the season? No, he hadn't watched it yet. He's a Boston guy, but he hadn't watched it yet. Well, we got some juicy stuff coming from Chris Martin on a future episode of the DLLS Rangers podcast. We appreciate you hanging out with us today, though. We actually have a holiday weekend, not unlike your own. Since the Rangers are playing so late on Sunday, we're not going to do a post-game show after the getaway day on ESPN in San Diego. So we won't see you again until Monday, and I guess that's July the 7th. And we do appreciate you very much hanging out with us today and always. And we will see you again Monday for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, we
12
need
more
12
seconds.
more seconds.
Well, on Monday, we'll know the Rangers All-Stars, so that'll be kind of newsy. And anything will be, interesting to see how that happens.
I can't wait to see. It's got to be Jacob deGrom, and we'll hope for a couple of more. There's worthy players despite the record. We'll see you Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.